But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Oh, how great your love is, Lord, to be found in me.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome, everyone, to today's show.
Ever feel like you're kind of stuck? Like you're weighed down facing these huge challenges. It's almost like those ancient stories, about struggle and hope and freedom. They're like echoing in your own life.
It's incredible how these old stories, they still kind of resonate with us today.
Right.
Like they tap into something universal about, just being human.
Totally. We're turning to Pastor Mario Alsina and his sermon, The Unwavering Faithfulness of God. We've got his written sermon and a video of him preaching.
Oh, wow.
It's all in Spanish, though.
Really?
Yeah, which I think adds another layer to this whole thing,
It does. Yeah, definitely. It reminds us that, Pastor Alsina preaches to the Spanish-speaking congregation.
Yeah.
It highlights how this need for hope, for liberation, it goes beyond language,
It's a good point.
beyond culture,
Yeah.
It's universal.
It really is. Now, Pastor Alsina, he starts with the Exodus story.
Okay.
Moses, the Israelites, escaping from slavery in Egypt. But then he connects it to this feeling we've all had, like that deep need for reassurance, especially when things are tough.
Especially then, yeah.
And he uses this phrase. It jumps out at you when you hear it.
Okay, with that.
He says, Dios no se ha olvidado de ellos, él es fiel.
Which means,
God has not forgotten them. He is faithful.
wow. Just, imagine hearing that, especially when you're going through something, when you're struggling. It's just like this deep reassurance.
Yeah, it's more than just a comforting thought, though, right?
Right.
Pastor Alsina connects this ancient story to, a universal human experience.
Okay.
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt, yeah.
Even Moses, chosen by God, he felt inadequate.
Of course.
When he got his calling. And it's captured so well in Exodus 6.1. Moses he literally asks, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? Can you imagine?
It's that weight of responsibility, right?
Yeah.
It's that fear that we all have, the fear of failure, It can really creep in on you.
It does.
Even when, deep down that you're meant for something more.
It's so relatable. How many times have we doubted ourselves, our own abilities, especially when we're faced with something new, a challenge?
All the time, right.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Pastor Alsina says God doesn't just make promises.
Yeah.
He takes action.
He does.
He's active.
He's a God of action.
And he cites Exodus 6.1, where God says, now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh. It's powerful. It's a promise, backed up by action.
It's not just words.
No.
It's like he's saying, I'm here and I'm going to do something.
Exactly. He's not just watching from a distance. He is actively involved in our liberation.
He's rolling up his sleeves, getting ready to fight for us.
And to emphasize this even more, Pastor Alsina brings in Psalm 2.
Okay, what does that say?
Well, he highlights God's power, God's sovereignty. It's this reminder that, things might be chaotic, things might be uncertain, but there's a higher power at work here. And it's guiding us towards something bigger than ourselves.
Guiding us towards a purpose.
It's a powerful message.
Yeah.
But, and here's the thing, he doesn't just say, hey, don't worry, God's got this.
Right.
Sit back and relax.
It's not a free pass.
No, he calls us to action too.
He does.
And he does something really interesting here.
Okay.
He connects Moses and Jesus.
He does.
Yeah. They were both chosen by God to liberate their people.
Right. Yeah.
And it's he's saying that this story, this Exodus story, it's not just ancient history. It's like a blueprint.
For today.
Yes.
Yeah.
For how God works in our lives right now.
I like that. It's like he's holding up this ancient mirror.
Yeah.
And saying, look, this is how liberation happens. Both on this huge scale, like with the Israelites, but also in your own life.
It's happening on a personal level too.
Yeah.
And those Egypts, what he talks about, they can be anything.
What do you mean?
It could be addiction, it could be fear, it could be self-doubt, like we were just talking about, toxic relationships, anything that's holding us back,
Anything that keeps us trapped.
Exactly.
Keeps us from really living. And this is where it gets really, really powerful. Pastor Alsina, he shifts his language a little bit.
Right.
It becomes super personal. He says, Dios No se ha olvidado de ti. Él es fiel.
Okay, so what's the difference?
It means God has not forgotten you. He is faithful.
Wow. He went from them to you.
Exactly.
That's huge.
It's a small change, but it's such a powerful one. It takes this epic story
Yeah.
and it makes it intimate, like he's talking directly to you.
Directly to your heart?
Yeah. And this is where he gives his call to action.
Okay.
He's urging people, his congregation, to accept Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And he frames it as like the path to true freedom. Like this is how you break free from the chains that are holding you down.
It's a powerful statement. It really connects to that deep longing for freedom, that we all feel. But I think what's interesting is he doesn't just focus on the spiritual side of things.
Right.
He also talks about the practical implications of this freedom.
Because it does affect your everyday life.
Yeah.
It changes things.
He seems to understand that true freedom, real liberation, it changes everything. Your mind, your body, relationships, everything.
It's about aligning yourself with something bigger.
Yeah.
Living a life that has meaning, a life that has joy.
So it's not just about, escaping sin.
Right, exactly.
It's about breaking free from anything that's stopping you from being your best self.
Becoming who you were meant to be. And that really resonates with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want?
What's that?
That kind of freedom. The freedom to be ourselves, to go after our passions, to have real connections, to make a difference.
That's like, when you're hiking and you're in the thick of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're surrounded by trees, can't see anything.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you come to a clearing.
Oh, I see.
You can finally breathe again. You get that bigger perspective.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. That's what this message is like, That sense of hope, that feeling that anything is possible. That's what Pastor Alsina leaves us with.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's that reminder that, yeah, you might be surrounded by challenges,
Right.
but you have a choice.
You have the power to choose hope. You can choose liberation.
Exactly. It's not about pretending the struggles aren't there.
Right.
It's about finding the strength to rise above them.
And sometimes I think that strength comes from realizing, hey, we're not alone in this.
We're not the first ones to go through this.
Exactly. Other people, they've walked this path before us.
They've come out the other side.
And they figured it out. They found their way.
It makes you think, what Egypts are we enslaved by today?
That's a good question.
What's holding us back? Is it fear?
Yeah.
Limiting beliefs?
Mm.
What's stopping us from really, truly being free?
It's a question we all have to ask ourselves,
We do.
What are those chains in my own life?
Because once you can identify them, then you can start to break free.
It's a journey.
It is.
It takes courage. It takes faith.
And it takes a willingness to get uncomfortable, to step outside that comfort zone.
But we don't have to do it alone.
We don't. And that's what Pastor Alsina reminds us.
That's right.
He leaves us with that message that God is unwavering in his faithfulness.
It's a powerful promise.
It is. He's saying, you are seen, you are loved, you are never forgotten. And, even if you don't, subscribe to his religious beliefs, I think there's a universal truth there.
Absolutely. We all need that connection.
Yeah.
We need to feel like we belong. We need to know that, we're not alone, that something is there for us.
Into the unwavering faithfulness of God.
Inspired by the words of Pastor Mario Alsina.
It's been great, just thinking about these ideas, remembering that no matter what life throws at us, there's always hope, always a reason to keep going, to keep searching, and to keep believing in that possibility of true liberation.
Well said.